to the Countdown to Face-Off presented by Castor. Maybe the surprise of the NLL season so far, the 5-2 Saskatchewan Rush against the San Diego Seals, who already backed up in what might be a must-win situation. Hi everybody, welcome you inside the building at Pechanga Arena. He is the former NLL player Nick Ocello. I'm Cooper Perkins. Haley Elwood will join us from the floor shortly. Nick, I teased it just a moment ago. For San Diego, it is not hyperbolic to say, yeah, they're only 7 games in, but this one is as close to a must-win as you'll have.
Yeah, they're sliding. They really need to bounce back tonight, and a good opportunity against, as you said, a surprisingly good start for the Saskatchewan Rush.
Let's talk about that surprising Saskatchewan team. 500-ish team last year. They're 5-2 right now. And the big news for them in their win over Albany, secondary scoring. It wasn't just Zach Manns. It was Robert Church with 5-5.
And you said it. Zach Manns is doing a good job of drawing the attention as the primary scorer for the Saskatchewan Rush. But they have a roster that can fill out, and they have a number of players that can get hot on any given night. Church stepped up last game against Albany and buried 5 of them. And really what stood out to me was the opportunistic, whether it was off a loose ball, whether it was a power play. So look for them to continue making a team approach to their offense tonight.
When you look at these two teams, for Saskatchewan, over-exceeding expectations, for San Diego, underperforming. Close games have really written the script for both of them. For the Rush, they've already won more 2-goal games or less this year than they did all of last season. For San Diego, it's flipped on their head. If you're looking at the Seals tonight, they have not been good in close games. This series history tells us it'll probably be another one. How does Patrick Merrill's group break through in what very likely will be a tight one?
What's interesting is the problem for San Diego's offense right now is that they're playing too selfless. If I'm a coach, that's a good problem to have. Hey, don't focus so much on trying to find your open teammate if you have an open shot. The solution, we were talking with head coach Patrick Merrill, is aggression. Make sure that you're working hard off ball, and don't be so selfless where you're passing up a shot. Expect the playmakers to get hot tonight.
Patrick Merrill called it the yellow light mentality. They want to step on the gas and blow through that light when they have the opportunity. Haley Elwood has more on their overall mentality coming in tonight's game.
Thanks so much, Cooper. Yeah, the Seals return home tonight looking to get back to 500. Patrick Merrill told us tonight that this team has just been playing tentative, but it's not who they are. And speaking to Cam Holding this week, he told me tonight's game against the Rush is going to be a really great test for this Seals group to see if they can rise to the occasion. He told me they believe they still think this Seals team is a top-tier team in this league, but tonight they're going to have to play with physicality, and if they do, Holding believes that they will get in a better mental state, get back in the win column, and ultimately get some swagger back. Guys.
Ryan Benesch, 281 career games as he passes Brody Merrill. The Seals great with his number hanging from the rafters just above Benesch's head tonight. Congratulations to Ryan, who also just turned 40 this week, the 3rd oldest player in the National Lacrosse League. A ver, familia, bienvenidos a la arena de Pechanga in California del Sur. Es una celebración de la herencia mexicana. It is Mexican Heritage Night as the Seals wear their yellows and the Rush wear their whites with green trim. It is going to be a fun face-off matchup, Nick Ocello. We just saw the first one. No Jake Naso for Saskatchewan. Trevor Baptiste still on the shelf for San Diego. Jimmy Quinlan told us this week it's going to be like the Calgary Stampede. Rams out there butting heads all night.
Absolutely love it. If you like good technical clamp matchups, turn the TV off and expect this early offense from both teams, especially coming out of transition and off the faceoffs. I think that's going to be an emphasis as both offenses have struggled. Look for them to manufacture goals.
San Diego told you a little bit about their strategy with their opening lineup. They went 3 in the defensive end, 1 in the offensive end. Patrick Merrill told us this week it's going to be a balance and a very fine line between taking away their opportunities and manufacturing our own.
And great pressure from Saskatchewan early here in the game.
Bobby Kidd III drops it off to Robert Church. Finally healthy. Told you about his 5-goal game last week against Albany. That's great news for that guy, Zach Manns. He's been a scoring machine, but doesn't want to have to do everything every night. Austin Shanks, new addition in the offseason. Big piece of what they've done as Church circles it back around to the far side. Walter screaming in as it misses wide of the net. And it is corralled there by Robbie Turpin for San Diego.
Boy, both teams have their foot on the gas pushing transition, and I think the addition of Trey LeClaire is going to allow San Diego to play a little bit more tentative on faceoffs, taking away Sask's opportunities while pushing it out of their own defensive end.
Rob Hellier, team's leader in points. Coming off a quiet night against Las Vegas 2 weeks ago. Here is Benesch down low to Wesley Berg. His turnaround misses wide. Thomas Kysak's the man between the pipes for Saskatchewan. Young fire plug of a kid, just 20 years old, the youngest player on Saskatchewan's roster. Really good matchup of young goaltenders, Nick. Chris Origlieri, still the youngest player on San Diego's team, against Kazik on the other side. Here's Mike Triolo as Triolo goes far side low, and Saskatchewan's up 1-0.
Another point of emphasis from head coach Jimmy Quinlan was kind of those isolation opportunities for the Rush's offense. And I'll tell you what, I would not want to be playing off or defense against this, a large human being who has surprisingly shifty feet, and I think he uses his size in such a great way around the net, because when he extends his arm, the angle of the release is so difficult to stop. Even though he's on the near side, he just uses the length of his arms to get it all the way to the far side. Very well done from Triolo right there.
Tallest guy in the league, 33-year-old journeyman in his 4th season, has bounced around and finally found a home in his 2nd year in Saskatchewan. Had a career high 18 goals last year, scored just 11 times the first 2 seasons. That is his 8th of the season, and the Rush are off to an excellent start 2.5 minutes into this game. For San Diego, their offense has been non-existent in the first half of the game, so they're going to lean on the defense early. That was not the start they had envisioned, as now the Rush attacking once again, and Mans has it kicked away by Origlieri. What a start to the season for Zach Mans. We'll tell you more about that as Zach Currier 2-on-1 with Danny Logan as he rips one wide.
Even though that shot didn't go in, that is a great duo coming up the floor. Zach Currier is so crafty, pushes it to Danny Logan, and then immediately sets the pick so that Logan had a one-on-none. Hopefully, if you're a Rush fan, you don't see too many more of those opportunities.
Well, Saskatchewan, there are scratches tonight. Keegan Bell, Brock Haley, and a penalty away from the ball is going to send us to our first power play of the night. It will belong to San Diego. You know, Haley's a funny one, Nick, because they've intended to scratch him a couple of times, and then he keeps scoring goals. So Jimmy Quinlan's had his hand forced. Tonight, though, they are rotating in fresh bodies. 8th different starting lineup for Saskatchewan in 8 games.
And I think this is going to be a good litmus test for San Diego's offense, particularly as we go back and just check out why they're going to be on the power play originally. Yeah, just hold it, hold the stick, maybe a little bit of a sell. But if you're San Diego, you want to see a number of shots from almost every single player out there today, not so much passing. Hey, if you got an open shot, take it.
San Diego 5th in the league in power play, but that really doesn't tell you the whole story this season. Went 2 for 3 last week against Las Vegas after going 32% their previous 4 games. They'll have a reset of the shot clock after the save by Kazik, who is now facing his first real test of the night. His team playing down a man. McIntosh up to Wesley Berg, now to Benesh. Hellier's the point man. Here he is. Hellier with a low rocket as that one kicks around, and the penalty is going to wipe out the power play. Matt Hossack went down hard, and Hellier's headed to the box.
Yeah, and that one's tough as you go to do a stick check. Sometimes the stick can wind up between the legs.
San Diego, minor penalty, 2-minute stripping.
No ill intent from Hellier there, just kind of a misfortune for his stick to wind up in the legs of Hossack. As we go back to the replay right here, that's just tale as old as time. When you're throwing those stick checks, you want to make sure that if you miss, you're not putting yourself in a vulnerable position. Hellier exemplifying just that.
4-on-4 for 1 minute and 15 seconds. Saskatchewan would theoretically have a power play if that time expires without a goal scored either way. Here's Triolo again with a missile near side. 2nd for big Mike Triolo.
Boy, hot start for the mammoth of a man, Triolo. And this shot is just a thing of beauty. What I was really impressed with the Rush's offense right here was their ability to find space. They kind of had an effective pick that you see right there, which drew the top defender over. And Triolo just does a beautiful low to high from the floor to the penthouse. Very difficult shot to stop. We talk about his size around the crease, but it also makes his shot a little bit more deceptive. Watch out.
Well, Saskatchewan out to a 2-0 start. Neither penalty released, so we're still playing 4-on-4. As here comes Mans racing his way into the offensive zone. Saskatchewan 5-2 this year. 3rd in the league right now and contending to not just make the playoffs, but really make some noise. Shot clock running out here as Triolo might just have to ISO and let one go again, and he has a first quarter hat trick. Holy moly, Mike Triolo.
I am no math major, but is 3 for 3, 100% shooting a good start to the game? Many people are saying yes. And it's the variety. We saw him around the crease. We saw a low to high. And with the shot clock winding down, again, we'll go back to the size because San Diego's defense is in pretty good position right here. But look at how he just has the ability to shoot over Zach Currier. And boy, is his stick dialed in. My goodness, he is just painting these corners. What a start for the Rush.
3 goals for Mike Triolo as we haven't even hit our first commercial break of the night as they take a second look at the overhead to make sure all is good and no one wants to challenge. 10:25 remaining in the first, and Saskatchewan blazing out of the gates. Kind of a full reverse to what San Diego did against Las Vegas 2 weeks ago, where they held the Desert Dogs scoreless for about 18 minutes, led 1-0 after 1, and then really let things slip away, giving up 5 of the final 7 to end the first half and go to the break down 5-3. As Saskatchewan is going to throw it away, it's an over and back. And the Seals will get an opportunity to settle into their offense. Still 57 seconds on the penalty against Rob Hellyer. So we're still going 4-on-4, even after 2 goals for Triolo.
Big priority for head coach Patrick Merrill is effective picks and hard off-ball movement.
Trey LeClaire back in the lineup for the first time since the opener defense, December 1st, I should say, as he got it into Wesley Berg. And now Matt Hasek in his second stint with the Rush brings it up the floor. Now here comes Levi Anderson out of the penalty box. It'll be a power play for 35 seconds for the Rush. They have gotten off to a picture-perfect start as they try and win their 6th out of 8 and 9 out of 12 dating back to last season. Up to Church, spacing it out, directing traffic. Kanan flips it to Mans, who gets his first of the night. Piling on, the Saskatchewan Rush have come bursting through the doors at Pechanga Arena.
Boy, what a picture-perfect start, and we're already starting to see the variety of shots. This is the second or third time that I've said it. It was all Triolo, and now it's that's the first time Origlieri's seen a shot from the left-hand side. And again, what's impressed me as we see Origlieri head to the bench, what's impressed me is the Rush's ability to shoot with traffic in front. We saw Triolo do it over Currier, and then we just saw Mans do it around his defender.
So it's Mike Poulin now, the 38-year-old who won a title with Georgia in 2017. See if they're just giving Origlieri a break or will stick with Poulin for the long haul. I mean, you can't have much rougher of a start than Origlieri, as he's given up 4 goals on 5 shots. Now Saskatchewan wins a face-off. Again, no Jake Naso tonight, but it hasn't mattered much. And bouncing into the cup and getting the first shot on net. Clark Walter, or Bobby Kidd, excuse me, turned away by Mike Poulin.
And what's impressed me about Messenger is if he's going against a guy like Trevor Baptiste, he's not going to win the clamp. But when it's kind of those 50-50, let's send an athlete out there, he has a sneaky good clamp.
Jackson's shot spins well wide of the cage and is going to carry all the way back to the center line, which will take us to our first break of the evening. Saskatchewan absolutely exploding. They're up 4-0 as Chris Origlieri shakes his head in frustration. All Rush in San Diego. Early first quarter, and Saskatchewan has seen just about everything they've thrown at the net go in. Thomas Kazik has not had a lot of work. He is in the net for the second time in as many weeks as Frank Chiliano on the short-term holdout list. Kazik, 39 saves against Albany. Haley Elwood has more on the 20-year-old netminder, making a pretty big impression on his team.
Yeah, just a little baby, but making a good one. He told me it was an amazing experience, with the exception of the first 5 minutes where he gave up 4 goals. He said during the following TV timeout, he went to the bench, he spoke with fellow goalie Lane Rushka, who told Kazik, calm down, take deep breaths, and just take it shot by shot. And guys, that pep talk certainly have worked because he got the win. He's back in the net tonight looking for win number 2, and that experience last week will look to pay off because he told me after notching that first start, he feels like he can take anything on.
Jimmy Quinlan was pretty funny telling us about Kazik this morning. Said they were busting his chops at that first commercial break last week, saying, hey, bud, you're playing dodgeball out there, wrong sport. Seemed to tighten things up. I wonder if that might apply to Chris Origlieri, as he's currently on the bench after giving up 4 quick ones. Mike Poulin now in the net for San Diego. Bradley drops it out to the birthday boy, Jesse Gamble, as he sends one way up high. Might have been deflected.
And what's impressed me about Kaisick and Origlieri is even though their youth is on display in the short term, they get better as the game goes on, as San Diego's going to get another power play opportunity here after Garrett Bradley was shoved into the boards.
Well, Bradley happy to trot back to the bench, having drawn a penalty for his team.
And as we go back to the replay right here, I've been impressed with the Rush's physicality in those 50-50 loose balls, but hey, here's a free tip when you're looking at the back jersey of the guy and he's right next to the boards. Don't push him right into the boards. It's going to get called 9 times out of 8. And another opportunity for San Diego shooters to get hot. On the last power play, we saw Ryan Benesh have Kaisick beat and it rung off the post. Look for them to get the ball back in Benesh's stick.
Well, San Diego wasted their first power play opportunity by taking a penalty 20 seconds into their first opportunity. They'd much rather see something in the back of the net here as they've struggled out of the gates. Here's Hellier. Now it's up to Benesh. Back up to Wesley Berg. Just 2 assists and no goals against Vegas 2 weeks ago as Kaisick, a sweeping save, and Saskatchewan can run it to safety. Here's Matt Hasek, maybe the front runner for the Defensive Player of the Year at this point in the season, as Poulin handles his shot with ease. And back to offense for San Diego. Trailing 4-0. Mike Triolo has thrown 3 punches, landed all of them on the chin, and has 3 goals for the Rush so far. Zach Mann's the other. Jackson and McIntosh, the 2 joining Benesh, along with Berg and Hellier, trying to connect with McIntosh behind the net. San Diego looking for more aggressiveness. Benesh has his shot swallowed up, and watch out, the Rush are running 2-on-1. Another cause turnover for Hasek, his 22nd of the year, and he digs the posts. San Diego playing with fire right now.
Great job by Hasek. That was a phenomenal shift for him. Not only got 1 shot off, but got a 2nd shot off and his stick in the lane. Great on the stat sheet, and the Rush are going to build their momentum off of him.
Rob Hellier back to Benesh. Benesh up high. Kaisick turns it away.
Boy, great job by Kaisick to start. He's made a couple difficult saves. San Diego needs a little more ball movement, which I know we were talking about how they are playing too selfless sometimes. But in a lot of ways, you got to have that ball movement. Just get Kaisick off of his groove a little bit.
Well, both coaches were very adamant that they want to prioritize physicality in the middle. You have to think Saskatchewan's dominating that battle right now. As Church, he draws a penalty. Mans flings one at the net. Shot clock hits 0, and once again, the Rush are headed to a power play on the wake of a failed San Diego extra man.
Boy, what an effort by Robert Church right there. Sometimes the harder you try on offense, especially when you're double teamed and you know that you just have to go full send towards the crease and try and make something happen.
San Diego penalty number 32, 2 minutes, holding.
And as he was about to break through that double team, sometimes you have no choice but to try and get that penalty. So the individual effort from Church right there, certainly beneficial, as Saskatchewan has a chance to hop out to a 5-0 lead. Very impressive start.
Yeah, they have an opportunity to build upon what has been a catastrophic start for San Diego. We've told you about San Diego's offense struggling so much in the first half of games. No exception tonight. Really nothing of substance as the Rush have pumped in 4. Down low, quick stick from Shanks. Did not get a piece of Poulin, who was between the pipes of the Origlieri on the bench. No reset of the shot clock. Man's down to Walter, the former star at Limestone in the D2 ranks of field lacrosse. As Walter throws one on, it'll get a reset of the shot clock. A heady play by the young player who has developed nicely into a valuable piece for the Rush. Now Mann skips it over to Shanks, trying to get it down to Walter. I don't know how he got a stick on that.
Good job by Poulin right now, kind of playing those ankles and not falling for a low to high or a high to low, or not biting on what the Rush are giving him.
San Diego playing shorthanded right now. They've scored 2 shorties this year as Benesh uncorks one that Kaisick handles. There is a lid on the net right now for San Diego. As 10 minutes in, the Rush boasting a 4-0 lead.
Kaisick's impressed me particularly low. San Diego has not even gotten close on the bottom half of the net.
Still 42 seconds in the power play. Church, 35% of his career goals have been on the extra man. Now to Walter, back up to Mans. They cannot connect as a rare misplay on a loose ball by Zach Currier, but the shot clock runs out with the ball in Shanks' stick. And with 4:40 left in the first quarter, San Diego heading to the bench, trying to collect themselves. 30 more seconds of Rush power play time is Thomas Kazik, and the Rush up big 4-0. Volvemos a Pechanga Arena in San Diego. It is Mexican Heritage Nights as the NLL Plus is here, folks, and it is free. The league's new streaming service offers fans around the world access to live games, full game replays, highlights, and exclusive content. Sign up today at nll.com/plus. Saskatchewan up 4-0 on San Diego. They have 30 more seconds of power play time. You know, Nick, I could ask you about your quick reactions, but it's been pretty clear as day. Saskatchewan's won virtually every battle. Instead, I'm going to ask you what you had for lunch and if you did, in fact, celebrate Mexican Heritage Night.
We did celebrate Mexican Heritage Night. We had our standard chilaquiles order. Cooper was impressed with my Spanish, and shout out to Cochino de Barrio for the delicious food. No better way to appreciate a culture than to appreciate what's on the table in front of you.
We also ordered creme brulee French toast, which is distinctly not Mexican in culture, but excellent nonetheless. Now here's Zach Currier for San Diego. As Currier whips one on, Kazik stays perfect as the 20-year-old. Really a strong start to the night as he's picked up where he left off against Albany last week. Levi Anderson gets gobbled up by Zach Currier, as that's happened to many a player around the league in Currier's tenure. Zach Mans, now it's Austin Shanks. He's been a nice boost for them as Jimmy Quinlan highlighted him, and his addition is really taking their offense to another level as the shot clock runs out. A rare sequence from San Diego tonight where they prevented Saskatchewan from getting a shot, and it ends the power play.
Yeah, and it looked like the Rush right there were really forcing it in the middle. Granted, that means that they're going to try and take advantage of that later, but you don't want to do it when a guy has, you know, 2 people on him. So a little more patience from the Rush offense. But San Diego's offense right now, to put it frankly, is just a mess. Really need to make some adjustments.
Well, where do you start?
Start with an individual effort on a 2-man game. You know, get the ball into Westberg or Trey Leclerc's stick. Highlight some of the explosive athleticism, because right now they're just moving the ball around the horn, but there's no real threats. Kind of going back to that selfless offense, but selfless to a fault. And I will say shout out to the Rush defense for applying pressure on the outside, making it difficult.
Walter to Triolo, who has 3 in this first quarter. He can't get it on that time. Perfect shooting percentage no longer as Mans' shot sails on him and pinballs its way all the way out to the center line as Bradley wins the race to it, but it'll be Zach Deacon, the offseason acquisition from then New York, now Ottawa. As Trey Leclerc trying to give them a boost with his athleticism. That's what Patrick Merrill highlighted from him as really being a key addition. They've wanted to get quicker on this end of the floor, and Leclerc's health returning to good form is great news. Hellier's shot smothered by Kazik. Stop me if I've said it before. The kid with a phenomenal start to the night. Now Shanks gets one on as Poulin makes the stop.
And I'll say this, Kazik has been phenomenal down low, but boy, is he putting a premium on the bottom half of the net. I'll call my shot. Next San Diego shot that's high and on net is going in.
You know, San Diego trying to get their bodies out there with some time to work. Still half the shot clock. Down low to Currier, trying to twist one on as Adam J draped all over his back. And it will be Saskatchewan ball once again. Excuse me, that was Ryan Barnable, as Jay is who brings it up the floor. Just over 90 seconds to go in the first quarter as Saskatchewan dominating on the road. Robert Church backing his way in. Trying to break down on Deacon, spins it over to the far side as it kicks around, and Matt Wright battling for San Diego with Levi Anderson, a couple of young future stars in this league. Shot clock runs out, and Saskatchewan does well to just get it into the corner.
Couple good possessions for San Diego's defense, and what's impressive about it is they're not allowing the Rush to get to the middle of the floor with the ball. Yes, you can allow a cutter or two, but good job keeping the ball on the perimeter.
Here's Kyle Jackson working two-man with DeChico, sweeping across the top. Nowhere to go as Hasek draped all over him. Wesley Berg working with McIntosh as there is Kaisick. McIntosh nearly took it away from him, but the perfect start continues for Thomas Kaisick. 20-year-old who won a Minto Cup. Got to see him at the Minto a couple of years ago when it was hosted in Edmonton. Shot steered away by Poulin, who has been perfect since coming in to replace Chris O'Reglieri. Game and shot clock separated by about 2 seconds, so for all intents and purposes, the Rush can work this way down to the end, but a miscommunication and a turnover. Maybe the first real mistake by Saskatchewan tonight. Shot clock off for the Seals. Courier and Benesh up top. Jackson calls for it, gives it back to Benesh. 5 seconds. Berg to Hellier. Poked away. Hellier running out of time here. Benesh cannot get it away, and Saskatchewan will go into the second with a 4-0 lead on the road. 3 goals from Mike Triolo and a flawless first 15 from that guy, Thomas Kaisick. Mexican Heritage Night in San Diego, but right now the celebration is all in green. Rush all over the Seals. It's 4-0. Well, the Saskatchewan Rush do the bachata all the way through the first quarter and lead 4-0 in San Diego, thanks to a dominant effort from Mike Triolo and their young goalie Thomas Kaisick. But it's Zach Manns with 1 goal, Nick. That is such an interesting subplot. The reason behind that, well, when Manns scores 2 goals, Saskatchewan wins virtually every time. 11 in a row. Zach Manns started his career with Saskatchewan last year after the trade from Toronto. They've lost just twice when he's had multiple goals. Haley Elwood has more on Zach Manns and the impact that he has had on this Rush offense.
Yeah, he told me while that stat is funny, he said he wants to certainly keep his production up, and Rush head coach Jimmy Quinlan said he's not sure if there's a direct correlation between the goals and wins, but there is a line between how Manns plays and the Rush winning. He said when Manns plays aggressive, he's bound to get 2 or more goals, but that aggressive athleticism is ultimately what gets the Rush in good situations to get good results.
Zach Manns scored 36 goals in his first 2 years in the league. He scored 37 last year in his first year with the Rush. 21 already this season. That's about 3 goals a night, which, you know, Nick, I know you told me you're not a math professor. Jimmy Quinlan is, however, a high school math educator. Perhaps you could consult him. Is 3 goals a game, in fact, a lot?
Boy, carry the T, cross the I. Yeah, that's good. And it's fun to watch. He's a dynamic player. And one of the things that Jimmy Quinlan was talking about is how he draws so much attention from the defenses. We got our Rush players slow to get up.
Well, San Diego has been living in the penalty box tonight. Already the 3rd penalty they've taken. There's Jimmy Quinlan, head coach for Saskatchewan. Matt Accioni slow to get up and work his way back to the Rush bench. So the Rush head to the power play, which is bad news on 2 layers for San Diego. The first being
San Diego number 91, minor penalty, boarding.
And the second being it's awfully tough to score when you have 1 less guy.
Yeah, and what's frustrating is Saskatchewan has won most of the 50-50 battles. And really when that starts happening, the immediate fix is to be more physical in those situations, throw harder checks, throw your body around a little bit more, and it can come back to bite you. Danny Logan takes his seat in the sin bin.
Rush 1 for 2 on the power play tonight. Came in 12th in the league at 37%. They did, however, go 4 for 5 last week against Albany, as San Diego is going to get clear of the net on their first trip down to the defensive zone. Mike Poulin playing goaltender for San Diego after Chris O'Reglieri was yanked at the old stage hook after giving up 4 quick ones in the first 7 minutes.
Interesting, though, because as soon as Poulin came in, San Diego's defenses were playing significantly better. So I wouldn't be surprised to see O'Reglieri come back as San Diego gets a shot off on the shorthand opportunity, if you want to call it that.
Well, Rush wearing their road whites with green. Always looking fresh since their rebrand before last year. Ryan Keenan has come to life the last couple of weeks, and he picks up an apple. An assist on the feed to Robert Church as Saskatchewan. A power play marker. It's 5-0.
Time to hit the panic button a little bit if you're San Diego. This is just a thing of beauty and showing the lethality of a cross-floor pass, particularly on the man down. And what's interesting about that is when you're playing defense and you're in those passing lanes, you want more separation. You want that pass to be from perimeter to perimeter. So it makes it much more difficult when you only have a split second to react, because that pass went from one side of the crease to the other side of the crease. You don't get a stick on that. That's going to be a goal every single time. Well executed. Man up for the Rush.
Correction on the goal. It is Austin Shanks with his first of the night. 12th of the season for the 7th-year pro. That is number 147 in his career, closing in on 150.
Great mustache, too.
There is no shortage of great mustaches in this building. We saw Eli Gobrecht in the elevator at the hotel tonight, and he's working on a fireman stash of his own as Logan sends it into the crowd. All Saskatchewan right now, Pechanga Arena. Rush back to work offensively. Levi Anderson picks his way back to the top, defended there by Logan. And an appealing teammate. Back to Anderson, sneaking down low into a trio of Seals. As Triolo, after his 3-for-3 start to the night, stopped for the second time.
And I will say the Rush offense is a little unorthodox in the sense that they have all 5 of their players at various points throughout the possession just stacking horizontally. Kind of makes it difficult to stay with your matchup. So Seals defense with their hands full here tonight.
Seals praying for a breakthrough on this end of the floor. Hellier to Leclerc, who gets it on. McIsaac was there to make the save. Deep in the corner, ball is retrieved. And Saskatchewan will once again run it to safety. You know, of note, we've talked about the physicality from the Rush and how they've dominated the loose ball battle. That's most significant in denying second shot opportunities for the Seals.
And on the flip side, the Rush have gotten multiple opportunities, not just on man up, but in settled offense. So those possessions add up over the course of the game.
Kanan twirling his way towards the net. Yeah, Saskatchewan's been one of the most elite loose ball teams in the league this year. They have 3 of the 5 highest single game loose ball totals in their 8 contests. San Diego not used to getting outworked and beaten in that aspect of the game. They've been one of the best loose ball teams for 4 years. Hasn't shown up though, as they've lost 3 out of 4 entering play. Wesley Berg trying to work with his good friend Ben McIntosh. Penalty as Poulin goes racing to the bench, and the Seals are not going to get a shot away. They'll instead go to the power play for the 3rd time.
Huge opportunity for San Diego right here. We saw them manipulate space up top on really the only successful shot we saw on their power play. As we go back, we were talking about how effort leads to good things. Wesley Berg just deciding, I'm going to go to the middle.
2 minutes, legal cross-check.
And a 2-minute cross-check is the result. But with the 3 Seals players up top and just the 2 for the Rush, I would expect them to manipulate space. And what we've seen work against the Rush this season is having a player behind the net, as we see right there.
And San Diego does have 2 good behind-the-net threats in Kyle Jackson and Ben McIntosh. So Boudreau in the box. McIsaac lays down and keeps it out.
And again, we'll keep an eye on this, but San Diego has taken 1 shot up top, and it was Ryan Benesch hitting the post.
Messenger all the way to goal line extended like a fullback, bulldozing his way through an offensive line.
He is fun to watch when he gets a full head of steam, just saying like, hey, I dare you to stop me. More often than not, nobody can.
I would gladly decline that offer on his part. Hey, bud, stop me. No,
go ahead.
Shot clock violation as San Diego takes back over with Cam Holding bringing it up. Still 1 minute and 7 seconds in the power play. San Diego scoreless for the first 19 minutes and counting. They've scored 1 goal in the first quarter of their last 2 games dating back to Vegas 2 weeks ago. As first half offense has been elusive for the Seals, to say the least. This time it's Leclerc attempting one from behind the net. Knocked away by Wright, but Barnable able to corral it.
Boy, great job by Wright. And this is just the storyline of the game for me, is Saskatchewan's putting their foot on the gas, even as a man down. So, boy, do they just have the momentum and the energy.
And they drew a penalty. So 5-on-5 as Kaisick goes to the bench. Still 5 seconds in the shot clock. Rush are going to have a tough time getting anything of quality here. I mean, to your point, Saskatchewan putting the foot on the gas, even in the man down. This is the 3rd time they've nullified a San Diego power play by drawing a penalty while man down. Put into perspective how difficult it is to do that.
San Diego penalty, 2 minutes. Illegal substitution. Served by the in-home.
And what I like about that is it's the tenacity, because anytime that you're dodging when you're down, you know that you're going to have a double team. And so to credit everybody on the Rush roster, they're saying, hey, you're going to double team me. I'm not just going to give up on the play and say it's industry standard to kind of mail it in and try and get, you know, an interesting shot off. They're really trying for it, and boy, are they seeing the results as they're up 5-0.
Well, San Diego without former Rush star Kyle Rubisch tonight. He was put on the IR this morning, so their best penalty killer not available to them this evening, as the first penalty is released on Saskatchewan. Boudreau tripped up by a turf monster on his way across the floor. So 5-on-4 for the Rush. Mann's deflected shot pushed into the corner by Eli Gobrecht, and the shot clock runs out. So now San Diego playing man down once again. Awfully difficult to build any kind of offensive momentum when you do not have as many players on the floor. That has been the story for San Diego tonight. It's all Saskatchewan in San Diego. Jordan Hall's offense for San Diego scoreless as Thomas Kaisick and the Rush up 5-0. The NLL is now on the ESPN app. Download the app or visit ESPN.com for the latest news, schedule, and scores.
And you know what? I'll give credit to the NLL and ESPN, because it is week 0 for college lacrosse. And just trying to watch the games, you have to find 15 different streaming services to watch Hopkins DU, to watch, you know, Ohio State be who they are and just get their breaks blown off against Utah. So good weekend for college lacrosse fans, but better if you have the NLL app.
So you're telling me you're not a fan of the Midcoast Sports Network, South Dakota's finest broadcasting company, where the Denver game was carried today?
Yeah, I mean, mid is right in the name, but, you know, I don't want to dog on anybody too hard. But I will bring to the attention again, Utah Utes, shout out to them for dominating Ohio State. Thanks for the payback from the national championship there, boys.
In this one, it's all Saskatchewan. Rush up 5-0 on the Seals. Mike Triolo had 3 in the first quarter. Zach Mans and Austin Shanks have each added individual tallies. And Thomas Kaisick throwing up a donut. 20 years old, but he is playing out of his gourd tonight. The result has not been good for the Seals. Just 14 first-half goals in their last now 5 games. That is not good enough to win. Their offense has been better after halftime in each of those games, but they've been looking at deficits so regularly, and they've asked their defense to do so much. Once again, the shot clock's about to expire on them as Berg gets a pretty good look. Still a minute on the Saskatchewan power play, as Holden Garland will trot it across the center line.
Bright spot for San Diego shorthand unit has been number 25, Eli Gobrecht. 2 turnovers on the last 2 attempts for Sask. So look for 25 to try and make a play here.
Keenan trying to force feed the middle for Shanks as Triolo goes to battle in the corner with Bradley. Not often Bradley's given 3 inches to a guy, but that's the situation. As Saskatchewan gets another one. Second for Shanks as it sneaks past Poulin, and it's 6-0.
Such a tough decision, because you want to go out and pressure some of those 50-50 loose balls and kill time. But what that does, it extends you, and what was a 5-on-4 is now a 4-on-3. And we kind of talked about how the Rush have been opportunistic. So off of that loose ball, find the open man, and the open man was Austin Shanks with a 1-on-none. And the wheels are coming off the wagon for San Diego. Imperative that they stay out of the box for the remainder of the game.
San Diego's challenging the call on the 4 of a good goal. Plays under review.
San Diego throws the challenge flag. To your point, Saskatchewan's power play, frankly, has not been good this year. They came into the night 12th in the league, even after going 4 for 5 last week. But now 3 for 4 tonight. They're 7 for their last 9, dating back to last week. I mean, it feels like panic mode time for San Diego. You see Derek Keane and Jimmy Quinlan in the rush. For Patrick Merrill, every button they've pushed tonight just hasn't had an answer.
It really hasn't. And as we go back and look at the replay here, we'll get a better sense from an overhead angle. This should be the one that should tell us a little bit. If we have the ability to go back a little bit, that would certainly help. And tell you what, this might be called back. It's all about Keenan's right foot. And does that hit the crease before the ball trickles in? But the reason he was open in the first place, again, it's kind of that risk reward as Garrett Bradley went out to pressure the ball, which is neither a good nor bad decision. It's just a more risky one. That spot where the shot was shot is where Bradley was supposed to be. As we get another look here, and this actually should be a good angle. We see the ball in the bottom right corner, foot down, and I don't think that ball's crossed. San Diego might catch a break here.
I think you're correct. I think that's going to be the first real break San Diego can hang its hat on tonight, as Shanks stepped in the crease fairly clearly. Did his best to be deceptive wearing those white, beautiful, clean sneakers with white lines. I mean, that's a veteran-savvy move.
Yeah, if I'm a coach, I'm saying, hey, everybody get your brightest white shoes on. Clean them with bleach if you have to, because sometimes that's the difference between a goal and not a goal. And again, even if San Diego gets a break, the break means that they're down 5-0, so they've got their work cut out for them.
Here's one for you.
Hit me.
Courtesy of our excellent stat staff, San Diego is on a 49-minute and 38-second scoreless streak at home, dating back to the Ottawa game last month. They have not scored in almost a full game.
The shooter steps in the crease prior to the ball crossing the goal line. We have no goal. San Diego retains their timeout.
And, you know, this could just be a theme of the night. I'm not good at math. Cooper is not scoring for 49 minutes a row. Good or bad? True or false?
True. It is, in fact, bad. It's also interesting because San Diego was so much better offensively at home last season. They averaged 39% more goals per game at home, 13.5 at home, 9.8 on the road. This year, the splits have been a little bit narrower, 11.5 at home, 10.3 on the road. But there just hasn't been any kind of positive mojo offensively in this building for them since before the new year. I mean, really, it's been just such an uphill slog. To what extent does it become mental? Because you can talk about cutting through the crease hard, being physical, being a little bit more selfish. But at a certain point, shooters need to see the back of the net move.
100%, and I think that this drought has, you know, expanded into a true lack of identity for San Diego. You know, I don't even know what the fix is, because everything that they're doing, they try it once, move on to something else. Look at how far the Rush defense is pressing out right now. Which player is going to step up and make an individual effort? Granted, it's because there are only 4 offensive players, but Wesley Berg has had the best odds of the night, and it resulted in a penalty just because he decided that he's going to be the guy to try and break down with the ball in his stick. But the lack of identity, I don't know what San Diego's doing as they start a settled possession.
Well, San Diego did kill off the penalty. Just the second time in 5 man-down situations tonight they've been successful keeping the ball out of the net. Here's Zach Mans spinning one down low to Church. They do not connect as Shanks battling with Turpin. And I think they're going to bring it back and give the ball to Saskatchewan. Yes, they are. So Turpin called for the loose ball push. And the Boo is starting to come out a little bit in San Diego.
Yeah, that one's a little bit iffy. I will give the refs credit. They've been consistent all game, so they've been penalty heavy. And, you know, sometimes they're just a little more touchy, but as long as it's consistent, you have to adjust to how the refs are calling the game.
Saskatchewan up 5-0 after Shanks had his second erased by a review. Mans near side save by Poulin. He replaced Chris Origlieri, who gave up 4 early in the first quarter and has not sniffed the floor since then.
Good save by Poulin right there. Kind of gave up a little bit of the near side net from a spacing perspective, but shot up his left arm and denied Mans at the crease.
Here's Benesh. So much of his scoring's been concentrated in just 3 games this year. Berg right into the chest protector of Kazik. He's up and throwing. It's a foot race for the ball down in the far zone as Isaac Enju, who returned to the lineup tonight, getting activated from the IR, tracks it down.
And I'll say, if I'm San Diego's offense, the first thing I'm doing is saying, Westberg, get the ball in your stick. Someone set a pick for him and get him to the middle every time.
And Walter gets one on as Poulin makes the save. Walter had his best career game against the Seals 2 years ago when he scored 5 on San Diego in Saskatchewan. Something about playing the Seals and having career nights for these Rush guys. And now Jackson circling up top, spins it to LeClaire. LeClaire trying to inject anything into this offense that's been held scoreless. Courier steered away by Kazik. San Diego closing in on 60 minutes of game time without a goal at home.
And it starts with little plays like that, the 50-50 loose ball that they weren't getting prior to that one. They just need to capitalize here.
Courier looking for some help now to Hellier. Team's leader in points coming into the night. Second in goals as he force feeds LeClaire to no avail. Messenger throws Jackson to the ground, and now a loose ball push is going to go in favor of the Seals as Courier wiped out. Zach Courier really making an impact on this shift, just keeping things alive for San Diego.
Yep, and he got one of the best shots we've seen from San Diego's offense all half.
LeClaire backing in, soaked out front, still loose. 2-on-2 loose ball as Jackson gets gobbled up. And the ball squirts to freedom where it's the Rush who control it on the stick of Matt Accioni. Boudreau goes low to high on Poulin, who stands in there to make the save. And now Wright motoring up the floor with speed. Wright steps in, and Kazik a sweeping save. And now
we got a track meet.
You got a track meet that's broken out. Barnable drops it off. McClellan back to Barnable, and Poulin turns it away. Well, the interest factor just hit 10 on the scale in San Diego. It was a little dry there for about 5 minutes. Can the Seals convert it into a goal, though? Berg, another Kazik save.
And look at how quickly Kazik goes low. If Westberg hits that overhand shot and hits the top corner, that's what I would suggest.
Send a letter back to Stittsville, Ontario, because that kid is making his hometown proud. Thomas Kazik pitching a shutout. It's 5-0 Rush on the road. Don't miss any of the action this season. Head to NLL.com/tickets and get yourself front row seats to your favorite NLL team. All the bright lights, big hits, highlight reel goals, and star-studded matchups. That's NLL.com/tickets. That guy's the brightest star of the night, and he hadn't played until a week ago. Thomas Kazik in his second career start, pitching a first-half shutout for more than 25 minutes of game time as San Diego closing in on a full 60-minute scoring drought at home dating back to January 4th. They got La Bamba playing in the building, Nick. It's Mexican Heritage Night. I got a fun one for you. Did you know that La Bamba, Feliz Navidad, cousin of La Bamba, obviously, has the same chord structure as Pink Pony Club?
No.
It's the same song. It's just in Spanish and about Christmas.
I feel like Mexican Heritage Night is just you to humble brag about how cultured you are. I would hate it if I could match it. But going back to Kazik, more bad news for Seals fans. He gets better as the game goes on, but huge opportunity for San Diego right here.
And Kazik denies it again. This kid is on a heater tonight. Now Keenan backing it in for Saskatchewan. It was 6-0 at one point, but a goal for Austin Shanks wiped away by a review. 4 early goals for the Rush. Since then, the Seals defense has really tightened the screws, but their offense has let them down. Another broken up pass and a loose ball as it's poked away by Clark Walter, and that's going to do quite a bit to allow Saskatchewan to get a full change. Benesh working a 2-man with Kyle Jackson. 12 of his 15 goals have been scored in 3 games. The other 4 games have not been nearly as fruitful for Benesh this year.
You know, it's just confusing to me. I go back to the lack of identity for San Diego's offense. Is the 2-man game that you want to have happening Ryan Benesh trying to out-athlete a Rush defender? No, he should be hunting space as the right-handed players where you have Trey LeClaire and Westberg feed him the ball for a shot. And going back previously, Trey LeClaire beats his man to the middle, and some of the Seals players are standing in his own shooting lane. So it's just individual identities not working and forced into positions where Seals aren't comfortable. If I had to describe it, I would say no bueno.
And another one. Levi Anderson this time banks it in off the pipe. Second of the year for the Calgary kid, Levi Anderson.
And in stark contrast to the lack of identity for San Diego, everything is going right for Saskatchewan here. Levi Anderson, quick, shifty player. You know that he's going to be able to get space. Look at where the other Rush offensive players are. They are on the complete other side of the floor and saying, hey, Levi, do your thing, brother. And what does he do? Jab step to the middle and then pipe in as the Seals welcome back Origlieri into net. But my goodness, as big of a nightmare start for San Diego as you could imagine.
First time Levi Anderson's played in a game since December 28th. And he gives him a boost with his 6th goal of the first half for Saskatchewan. San Diego has just watched this thing spiral out of control. Nonetheless, though, they're still within striking distance. I mean, 6 is a lot to be down, but there's a lot of game time left if that identity suddenly crystallizes into reality. But that is not going to help them. Oh, boy. Everything going right for the Rush as Robert Church has one.
You know, at some point, there's just not a lot to say. Everything's going right as we see Church get downhill with a little bit of momentum. Just flings it at the 5-hole. Origlieri even looks a little defeated right there. Shot off of his stick. He doesn't know where it is. And I'll tell you one thing, you can tell a lot about where a defense is at based off of the reaction of the collective unit when the ball crosses the goal line. They're just kind of looking around at each other. And if I'm a San Diego defenseman, 7 goals is not insurmountable. So I'd be a little pissed off at the offense if we're being honest. So it really is up to San Diego's offense to find their identity and stick with it, not just for one shift, but for multiple.
We'll see if Ben McIntosh can do something for him. Thomas Kazik is not going to oblige. Well, the battle of the young goaltenders has been about as lopsided as you can imagine tonight. Kazik's been flawless, and Origlieri got benched. Shank spins it down to Clark Walter. Under 2 minutes until halftime. Still a goose egg on the scoreboard for the Seals at home. Now Triolo working his way to the middle, looking for his 4th of the night, and this time Origlieri there for the save. Gamble just turned 36 years old today, gets it up to Holding.
Good save by Origlieri right there. He was tracking Triolo's dodge the entire time, staying in good position. That's what he can build on. That's where we can see the Origlieri.
What would constitute a successful last 90 seconds? Because any way you slice it, San Diego's going to halftime disappointed.
A good shot, not that. A shot where a shooter on San Diego has time and room. And at this point, even a big hit, something that can energize the team a little bit, because the men in yellow are going to go into the locker room defeated. A play like that from none other than Danny Logan, that's what they need to build on right there. If they can get a goal right here, that's as good of an end as he can ask.
Logan's going to have to circle it back up top to Eli Goldbrecht, as the Seals offense has 60 seconds to work with if they want to avoid going to halftime scoreless. Team that led the league in goals 2 years ago, nearly 60 full minutes of game time at home without a goal, as McIntosh has it carry up into the netting.
And even a play like that, you know, McIntosh, great quick release, but when he has a defender draped all over him, why are you making that pass in the first place, and why are you forcing the shot? Messenger
weaving in Origlieri holds his ground to make a much-needed save. Now Graydon Bradley into the offensive zone as Hellyer comes to get it. Gavin shot clock separated by about 7 seconds. Here comes Jackson off the bench. Jackson, little face dodge, turned away by McClellan. Works it back up to Courier. He's going to step and rip, and Kazik pushes it up into the netting. 13.5 seconds left. Origlieri will run off. San Diego will call their timeout and set up a 6-on-5. For one last prayer at solving that guy, Thomas Kazik. He's been like Fort Knox tonight, just absolutely impenetrable.
And I will say, I don't want to dogpile, but the placement of San Diego's shots has been lackluster. They're either low with a clear line of vision, and Kaisick has been making easy saves with not a lot of rebound opportunities, or the high shots have not been in the corner sneaking over the shoulder. But San Diego just has their work cut out for them in ways that they are not used to here at Pechanga.
I could ask you what Jordan Hall is drawing up and who they're going to focus on, but I'm more interested in asking you what you expect a halftime environment and a Patrick Merrill coach team to be like down 7-0.
You know, this is just gut check time. In a lot of ways, there is still plenty of time. I want to emphasize that. With that being said, as the third quarter, fourth quarter you're game planning for, you need to have things that can build momentum for the rest of the season. Outside of Buffalo, it's anyone's race to see who the clear number 2 in the NLL is. So come out of the gates firing, set a hard pick. I don't even care if you get called for a moving pick if you put someone on their butt, but you got to play with a little bit more fire.
I don't know what they're doing on the Jumbotron, but they just showed the most mesmerizing video of trucks sinking into ice.
And then they finish it with no Canadians were harmed in the making of this video.
Hellier, another save for Kaisick. Jackson, one last chance as the ball is going to kick back to the center line. And Saskatchewan goes to halftime up 7-0 on the road. San Diego held scoreless by the 20-year-old goaltender Thomas Kaisick. Mike Triolo with 3 goals in the first quarter as the frustration is bubbling for Ryan Benesch, Patrick Merrill, and the Seals. Just an unmitigated frustration for San Diego as they have to go to the bench and back into their dressing room looking at a donut on the scoreboard. You know, there's always a bingo card when you call an NLL game or any kind of sporting event.
Yep.
This was not in any way on the bingo card.
This was not anywhere at all. I'm shocked.
Well, Mike Triolo had a tremendous start to the night. 3 goals in the first quarter to really lurch Saskatchewan out in front of the Seals. He's down on the floor with Haley Elwood right now.
All right, thanks so much, Cooper. Mike, you got those 3 goals. You set off the scoring for your team. What were you seeing that was making you so effective?
Honestly, it was just a lot of guys working to get me open, too. I was just the guy who got the ball at the end. Like, everybody was a part of all those goals, so it was good.
That's simple, huh?
Yeah, that's really what it is. Everyone working for each other.
What do you guys have to do to keep this going in the second half?
I just keep the foot on the gas here. There's nothing that we did wrong there. It's just a little bit, sharpen up a little bit, and we'll just keep it going.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
San Diego searching for identity as Saskatchewan has come barnstorming into their building. The Rush take a 7-0 lead in the halftime as Surrender Cobras are making their way out in Pechanga Arena. Halftime coverage after this. Welcome back to San Diego. It is halftime between the Seals and the Rush, and just like every week, last weekend saw some incredible lacrosse, and we were lucky to catch all the sights and sounds of the games. On this week's edition of NLL Wired, we put mics on the Black Bears' Kyle Matisse, the Rocks' Tom Schreiber, the Warriors' Matt Beers, and the Roughnecks' Tanner Cook. Let's take a listen.
Not allowed to battle anymore? Oh. Take guard off. Hey, that's enough. We're just separating. Hey, I don't need your help. Get back. Off of me. We'll just battle it out. Play hard-nosed games. It happens. He's holding it. Freezing it.
Yeah, Connor. All right, Connor. Nice finish, baby. Nice look.
Far side. Yo, just rotate into it. It's off white. You don't want me to come down?
I want you to come down like in here, then Seal. I'm going to come up like I'm sending.
Yeah.
You're just going to grab him.
They're obviously going fast, but they're going to have to press. So let's make sure. Let's try and find. We're going to try and break out together. So don't rush it. Let's try and make the smart pass. Not even close. Hey, we split 1 foot right in the crease. Please, just let us play. I know, but I'm just saying. As long as you guys are being consistent, but just the power plays start to get tilted and we get frustrated. You got to call them both ways.
Get to Brian! Right there, Brian! Right there!
Our last 2 shifts, we've had 5 guys down like this.
I think we just got to be a little more methodical in 2-man games, right? Settle down. We use the full 30. We got a goal out of it, right? So top shoulder, cut top shoulder.
Great job, BC! That was a big goal, man.
Yeah, boys. Right. Way to go. Or
Halftime in San Diego, and no typos to be found here. That score is correct, 7-0. The Saskatchewan Rush all over the Seals. Well, if you had this one on your pick'em, you're probably wrong because no one saw this one coming. Join in on the fun with NLL's all-new fantasy game platform, NLL Pickup. With access to weekly and monthly prizes, play today at NLL.com. Cooper Perkins, Nick Ocello, Haley Elwood. Let's show you some highlights. If you're a Seals fan, viewer discretion is advised because there are none for you. This is a Rush highlight reel because, frankly, Nick, this was a Rush party all through the first 30 minutes.
Great job by Triolo starting off with a hat trick, 3 for 3. And the variety of shots as you see him sneak it low to high just under the armpit of Origlieri and then capping it off with another beauty. But it just goes back to everything working right for the Rush. Their shooters have space. Their athletes have space to be shifty and quick. We'll see a Levi Anderson goal here in a little bit that will exemplify just that. And, oh, by the way, they've been on the power play for seemingly half the first half. This is that Levi Anderson goal I was talking about. But the word for me just goes back to identity. The Rush know what Levi Anderson's going to do. The Rush know what Triolo is going to do, and they're playing together beautifully. And San Diego's offense sometimes just can't get out of their own way, and that's been the story of the first half for me.
It's been astonishing, really has been. The Rush have dominated the score, yet the loose balls have narrowed, and the faceoffs haven't been all that notable with the two faceoff specialists, Jake Naso and Trevor Baptiste, on the IR right now. You know, Nick, the really big number that jumps off the page is Thomas Kaizik's 19 saves on 19 shots. To some extent, the Seals have made life easy on him, but credit the kid. He's made a handful of acrobatic saves. You have to imagine there's a little bit of rent-free real estate now that Thomas Kaizik is occupying in the heads of the San Diego shooters, simply because they just haven't seen anything go in.
No, and I'll say the difference between 22 and 19 for shots on goal. I'd say that half of Saskatchewan's shots have been good quality shots. Meanwhile, San Diego, I'm just trying to do the mental math here. I only saw 3 or 4 legitimate opportunities. And again, credit to Kaizik for standing tall and in many cases just winning the mental battle. But excited to see what San Diego has for the halftime adjustment.
Well, dating back to January 4th in their win over Ottawa, San Diego has gone 58.5 minutes without scoring at home. They'll have to try and change that in the second half, down 7-0. MVPs of the game so far for the Seals, the folks in the seats sticking around, showing their support even in the face of a 7-0 deficit. Cooper Perkins, Nick Ocello, Haley Elwood with you. And Nick, we've talked about it. We've really belabored it, to be perfectly honest. For San Diego, no goals in the first half. They've scored 14 first-half goals in their last 5 games. We saw more goals at halftime with the youth lacrosse group than we did from the Seals tonight.
I am going to disagree with you. The MVP has not been the fans, but we saw some quality youth lacrosse. California certainly on the up and up the past decade with more and more players going D1. No shortage of talent here in the beautiful state of California. And I'll call it, I think that the halftime adjustments that San Diego needs to implement start with the aggression of the ball carrier, not necessarily waiting for a pick or utilizing a pick more effectively, but a Westberg or a Trey Leclerc. I think if I'm head coach Patrick Merrill or Jordan Hall, I'm saying our athletes need to be the difference. It's not ball movement, it's not shooting. Let's get out there and remember that we have a stable of athletes that have been silent in the first half. Let's wake up the crowd, and credit to them, crowd is still fully backing them. But that's the only adjustment that I think needs to be made.
Well, speaking of adjustments, Haley Elwood has some intel for us. Haley, what did you learn coming out of the break?
Yeah, Merrill told his group they need to start working a lot harder. They were getting absolutely outworked in that first half. I asked him about the goalie plan. He said Chris Origlieri will be in the net. 30 minutes left, guys. A lot of lacrosse left, he told me.
A lot of lacrosse left, indeed.
Well, if we hit the 13.5-minute mark without San Diego scoring, it will be a full 60 minutes at home without a goal. For context, San Diego's franchise record for fewest goals in a game is 5. They've done that numerous times. 5's feeling like a pretty big number right now. Rob Hellyer trying to initiate for the Seals as Leclerc comes out to set a tough pick. Leclerc now isoing on Matt Hasek. Leclerc kicked away. Kaizik 20 straight stops to open the night.
I like that offensive set, even though it wasn't fruitful in the end. Get a guy like Trey LeClaire with a full head of steam coming downhill. That's what's been truly missing. And I think that also is a great opportunity. A guy like Zach Curry or Danny Logan, we've seen the chaos that they can cause all season. Hey, let's put our foot on the gas. We got nothing to lose. Our backs up against the wall. Let's press out and really cause chaos in transition.
Patrick Merrill did credit his guys this week in saying they play their best when the pressure's on, as Benesh sneaks it past Kaisick. Compasión y amor por San Diego.
And who other than the crafty veteran Ryan Benesh to break the scoring drought? And that's just a great job. Kyle Jackson's quick and shifty athleticism combined with the veteran savviness of knowing how to operate off ball from Ryan Benesh. That two-man game is a thing of beauty. Kyle Jackson knew that Benesh was going to be open. That was a preset decision. And that's exactly what needed to happen. Not just the gradual buildup of mounting a comeback, but coming out, firing out of the gates. Just what San Diego needed.
It snaps a string of 59 minutes and 17 seconds of scoreless lacrosse for the Seals offense in this building, dating back to January 4th. And to your point as well before halftime, that is the kind of set they would like to use Benesh in, right? They don't want him initiating, trying to be athletic. They want him in and around the net.
Yeah, second quarter was Benesh being the ball carrier. I'll take Kyle Jackson as the ball carrier, Benesh as the finisher all day. And San Diego has a chance to make some real momentum here.
Monkey off their back as the Seals get one from Benesh on his 16th of the season, playing in his 281st game, passing Brody Merrill for 4th all time. Zach Currier into some space, whips it down to Wesley Berg, circling. Berg on net, Kaisick another save. He's 2 for 3 to start the second half as Garland goes to retrieve it in the corner and throws it off the boards where Hasek is waiting. They got to hurry to get it across. Hasek just beats the count, and the rush denied by Origlieri. Great look for Saskatchewan as Ryan Keenan turned away by Origlieri. Well, those are the plays they're going to need and need en masse. Currier! Wake up the kids, honey. The Seals have come back to life.
Zach Currier has had his eye on that top left corner all game, and what I love is his patience. This is going to be a great angle. Seeing if there's just an alley to shoot between the rush defenseman and not hit his own player, Benesh. That is an impossible stop for Kaisick. And what I love, too, Zach Currier did not try to get back in transition. He said, I trust Origlieri to make the save. I'm going to plant myself here and get ready to rip a shot. Watch out.
And now there's that hard work Patrick Merrill was coveting at halftime as the Seals mixing it up on the boards, and we might get a scrap out of here. Helmets down, gloves down.
Let him go, ref, let him go.
Eli Gobrecht wanted every ounce of the smoke with Bobby Kidd. And they're going to send Gobrecht to the penalty box to see if Kidd joins him. Looks like both men will be headed to the bin.
Another great mustache in the NLL, Eli Gobrecht. Talking about it earlier, and as we go back again, this is just the battle, and good job by Kidd, but we see that that's kind of the fire that San Diego's bringing. Not a malicious play by any means, just a fiery and passionate play as we go down for the call.
Offsetting roughing penalties. And a loose ball push will give the ball to San Diego. Excuse me, a tripping call will give San Diego a power play. They sort out the numbers on the floor.
Tell you what, the energy has completely shifted here.
In an instant, it went from A San Diego team listless with no direction and no identity to now a crowd starting to come to life, smelling the possibility of a comeback. Still down 5, a lot of work to do, but this crowd has responded exactly as you would expect to the way the Seals have been working for the first 2.5 minutes. Now Courier. Bird. Kazik turned it away.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Theft between the pipes.
God, the patience of Courier on full. High, and my goodness, McIntosh comes out and stings that top right corner with the full head of steam. The way that he hits the brakes and shoots around his defenseman, and again up top has been the secret sauce for the San Diego Seals in the third quarter. Watch out.
San Diego illustrating a healthy kind of selfishness on offense in the last couple of minutes, which is precisely what Patrick Merrill wanted to see coming into the night, as now it looks like Kazik moving his way towards the bench, and Lean Rushka, the hometown product from Saskatchewan, is going to come into the game. Keep in mind, no Frank Chiliano for the second straight week. He's on the short-term holdout list, so very, very young goaltending group for the Rush, as Kazik, after his perfect 20-for-20 start, has been burned for 3 on the last 5 shots.
And I think that's the right call. And halftime adjustment, shoot high. Boy, has that worked.
Well, adjustment number 1 was shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be afraid.
And the Rush control another face-off. They're perfect since halftime in that department as Messenger. Ping-ponging around, bouncing off of Courier. Looks like Kazik's going to come back in after Rushka goes sprinting to the bench. Rush all of a sudden looking at San Diego on a 3-0 run, and for the first time tonight in some kind of a run stopper mode. Mike Triolo had 3 in the first quarter. He's been an automatic goal as he's turned away excellent defense and physicality from Cameron Holding, and the Seals hold once again on that end of the floor.
Boy, not an easy task. Number 19, Cam Holding, the assistant captain, showing everybody why he wears that A on his chest.
Definitely a favorite in and around the team. Now Bird bouncing around, chased around by Hasek. It's Benesh. Swatted away, excellent defense by Adam Jay, who has a massive size advantage on Benesh. Goose is hit ahead, and the Rush are going to be able to clear.
Credit to the Rush's defense. They did their homework on the scouting report. Seems like every time Benesh has the ball on his stick, they are attacking him with one of the better athletes on the floor.
Gobrecht and Kidd are both released. 5-on-5 lacrosse returns. Mans with an answer, his second of the night. And that'll take the win right out of this crowd instantly.
Another great job with the collective IQ of the Rush offense. They realize that, man, he's going to have a hot stick every time he's out there on the floor. They clear out the space for him, and just like we saw with Levi Anderson, only the name is Zach Mans. Let's give him space to do what he does best.
22nd of the season for the former Victoria Shamrock Junior A star. He has scored twice tonight. We told you about their run of success when he has multiple goals. 11 straight wins entering the night when Mans has had 2 or more. Hasek weaving his way through traffic, creating for Shanks, who hums it wide. No reset of the shot clock for the Rush, as they'll slow it down up top with Boudreau as he goes to get a change. Just 10 seconds on the shot clock. Rush struggling to get organized as Origlieri turns it into the corner. DeChico back on defense has the Lucy. After 3 in a row for San Diego to open the third, Zach Bands with the run stopper. It's back to a 5-goal Saskatchewan lead. DeChico wheeling around, now moves it on to Wesley Berg, who's been silent tonight. Trey Leclerc in his return has made an impact athletically, but not in the scoring column. DeChico, 8 seconds to shoot. The rookie up top. McIntosh from the restraining line. At the end of the shot clock, Benny Mack with a laser for his second of the night. And what was a prolonged scoring struggle for McIntosh dating back to the opening night in December has finally come to life with 2 in the third.
Boy, we talk about identity, and this is just McIntosh to a T. This is why he's had so much success in the league. Blink and you'll miss his catch and release. And just like we talked about with the Courier goal, his ability to shoot around whatever is in front of him and place it picture perfect. One of the best in the league at that.
Second of the night against his former team. Played a long time for Saskatchewan after the Rush drafted him, number 1 overall. Was traded to Philadelphia a couple of years ago. And has had 30 goals in 8 of the last 9 seasons. He's about as automatic of a 30-goal scorer as exists in the NLL. Hellyer up to Benesh, back to Hellyer. Now to Courier, 8 seconds to shoot. Seals with 4 goals in the first 6 minutes of the third quarter. Benesh at the end of the buzzer, and Jackson throws one on. It was untouched by Kaisick, so a shot clock violation. If you thought about turning it off at halftime, we couldn't have blamed you, but that would have been the wrong choice. As the Seals have erupted, it is a ball game in San Diego. Rush up 8-4 on the Seals. The next NLL Friday night on TSN is set as the Calgary Roughnecks visit the Vancouver Warriors on February 6th. Cooper Perkins, Nick Ocello, Haley Elwood with you from Pechanga Arena. It'll be the Rush with possession out of the break. Well, Nick, the difference for San Diego night and day between the first 30 minutes and the last 6.5.
And night and day might not even do its justice. So huge start for San Diego. And again, I don't think it was ever anything too complicated. I think it was just going back to basics. Hey, we have a good player in McIntosh. Rush gets set.
I'm guessing Patrick Merrill hit the over on bleeps at halftime as his team has come firing out of the gates with just so much more pride to their game than they had in the first half.
And like, look at even this right here, coming off the bench now at 3-on-2.
Kaisick makes the save on Gobrecht. But once again, that is the degree of selfishness they want to see. Take the shot. That has been their mantra. Have the yellow light mindset. Blow through that thing. Don't slow up. You're going to get rear-ended like they did in the first half, down 7-0. Robert Church pushing in on Gamble as his shot goes wide. Shot clock under 10 seconds as Triolo tracks it down. And the Rush are not going to get a quality shot away. The Seals defense has continued to tighten. They gave up 4 goals in the first 5 minutes of the game. Since then, they've held the Rush to 4 in just about 25 minutes.
And it starts with the pressure in transition. Rush only had about 15 seconds of shot clock to work with.
Now Hellyer! 14th of the year for the 13-year veteran as the Seals back within 3.
And when it rains, it pours. Everything was going in up top, and now, because they've been hammering up top, down low is starting to open up. What I noticed about Kaisick's position right there, he was playing those angles up high, kind of that high arc a la Dylan Ward, which means that Hellier has to be accurate. And the biggest difference for me is not just the placement of the shots, but the fact that he has 2 yards of separation from his defender. The Seals shooters now have just a little bit of breathing room to focus on the shot and not have a defender on their sticks, and wow, is that paying off.
It is a 5-1 Seals run in the first 7 minutes and 50 seconds of the second half. Keenan fires one on. Origlieri was there, and Keenan ends up tied with Cameron Holding in the crease.
Boy, and that's another great individual effort from number 19, Cameron Holding. Back-to-back great individual efforts.
Now Kyle Jackson with speed. Jackson moves it ahead. Hellier just netted one a moment ago. Now it's Benesh as he has to play it off the boards. Still 13 seconds of shot clock time. Seals have to have urgency but don't need to rush. Now Wesley Berg mispossessed as Jackson, defense tied up behind the net as it's poked by Berg and unable to connect with Courier.
Oh, and Jackson had Benesh wide open on the crease. Just credit to Sask's defense for applying pressure. But things opening up all over the floor for San Diego.
Austin Shanks had one in the first half and another wiped away. Wild shot as he has it swatted out of his stick. Shot clock at 10 seconds. Seals are going to come up with it as Robbie Turpin 2-on-1 with Wesley Berg, as Berg will slow it up and allow the rest of his offense to come on the floor. LeClaire gives him a little bit of space as he goes to get a change. Now it's Trent DeChico, the rookie out of Ohio State, his alma mater, catching some strays from you earlier tonight, partner.
Those weren't strays, those were direct targets.
His shot up high as LeClaire wins it back one-handed, and a fresh shot clock for the Seals. The work level has just catapulted this Seals team back into contention. So much more drive and passion in front of their home fans since halftime. LeClaire circling to DeChico. Hellier broken up and stolen by Messenger. They were looking to get it to Benesh as Messenger wipes out and wanted a penalty. He will get it as Kaisic goes to the bench, and the Rush are going to have an opportunity to snap this Seals surge with a power play upcoming after a 6-on-5, unless of course they score here.
Huge play by Messenger right there, not just to draw the flag, but wow, Seals were wide open on the backside.
Deflected shot, 4 seconds on the shot clock. Walter battling with Gamble. It's going to run out, and Saskatchewan's heading to the power play for the first time since halftime.
Wondering if they're going to call Gamble for boarding right there. No, they're not. It's just going to be one.
And they're going to send Trey LeClaire to the penalty box.
San Diego penalty number 33, 2 minutes, tripping.
Now the tripping call will sit Trey LeClaire down. The Rush will go to the power play for the 5th time tonight when we come back. The Seals have come back to life, but now it's the Rush turn to try and throw some cold water on things. Excuse us, we're going to stick around here. Apologies for the miscommunication as the Rush will resume their power play. Keenan up top to Mans with shooting room. Down to Benesh as Church finds his teammate in Ryan Keenan for the marker.
Beautiful ball movement from the Rush power unit right there. And again, we talk about the danger of those cross-floor passes. No better example of that than right here. San Diego doing their best to try and get in those passing lanes, but great job by Keenan to find the space, Church to hit it. And I don't care how good of a goalie you have in net, that's going to be almost an impossible one to stop. Back to a 4-goal lead.
Keenan 10th of the season.
And again, we talk about how well San Diego has been applying pressure in the transition. Have to make sure that that doesn't come back to bite you. Trey LeClaire certainly been a net positive in that realm. Gets called for the tripping penalty. Tough soak, as they call it.
Oh, 4:44 left in the third. Saskatchewan wides it back to a 4-goal game. Rush up 9-5 in San Diego. Seals playing from behind. Well, San Diego with life in the second half, but Saskatchewan has had a couple of big run stoppers. First, it was Zach Mans. Most recently, Ryan Keenan on the power play. Nick, have to be impressed by the Rush kind of rallying to the ball, so to speak, when they've needed to, and figuring out a way to keep some distance between themselves and the Seals.
They have. This game has certainly picked up in the excitement level. Because San Diego is pressing so aggressively, it's going to open up opportunities, not just to draw penalties like we saw Mike Messenger do, but to capitalize on those penalties. And don't be surprised if it kind of breaks into a little bit of a track meet. And I think the biggest difference between the track meet that we saw in the first half versus what I'm expecting here in the second is kind of how crisp the decision making is and how many more quality shots we're going to see. In the first half, it was kind of neither team really knowing what they're doing. Let's just run up and down the floor. But the quality of lacrosse is certainly elevated here in the second.
Saskatchewan led 7-0 at halftime. Thomas Kazik stopped the first 20 shots he saw. Pacheco works it to Hellier, now down to Wesley Berg. Still scoreless tonight. Went scoreless against Las Vegas 2 weeks ago. Courier, he does have one. Flips it back to McIntosh. The former Rush star gets one on as Kazik makes a save, and that has to be a nice boost for his confidence after watching the net move quite a bit early in this third quarter.
It does, and especially with that McIntosh shot where he's running downhill and trying to sneak it to the back pipe. Went in on the first attempt. Kazik steps up for the second. Good momentum builder.
Church circling the space. Origlieri the save. Quickly corralled by Bradley, and here comes Gamble out running. Gamble twists it on. Kazik held his space nicely.
You know, the risk reward gamble, I don't mind having your foot on the gas, but he did have a third player coming down to join that, no offense to Gamble, is probably a bit more proficient in the goal scoring area.
8 seconds to shoot for the Rush. Penalty away from the ball as they're going to go to the power play again for the 6th time. Well, San Diego built some momentum, and now they can't stay out of their own way.
Oh, and
they didn't give them the shot clock
operator, even though I thought it hit Origlieri. Maybe my eyes are deceiving me. Need to go get my prescription checked, but the reaction from the Rush's offense kind of putting their palms up.
The Rush head to the power play for the 6th time, doubling up San Diego. The Seals are 0 for 3 on the power play. Rush for 3 for 5.
San Diego number 19, 5-minute major under automatic review.
Oh, this will be the biggest call of the night so far.
Cam Holding making his case in the box, and you know, hey, let's be honest here. Sometimes when there's a 5-minute major called on a certain player, you might expect it. I don't think Cam Holding has a dirty bone in his body. And I'd be surprised if that holds up, because it looked like the Rush player kind of dove into him head first. Didn't look malicious from Cam Holding at all. But hey, that head contact is the hottest topic in all of sports, so.
Patrick Merrill quite perplexed and might have a case as to that one not holding up as a 5-minute major. I mean, that would be a massive swing. Either the Rush gets 5 minutes of power play time with the opportunity to score twice, or it's another 2-minute variety, which, again, if you're the Seals, is far from optimal, but a far more palatable prospect. Simply because they need the ball. You can't have the ball for that much time and not be, concerned about it. I think that face tells you what Patrick Merrill thinks.
I love every time a coach is pleading his case, he kind of channels the inner Italian with the overemphasis on the hand motions.
A lot of gesticulation. The Seals have outscored the Rush 5-2 since halftime. But Saskatchewan has done a very nice job when they've needed to at adding space between themselves and the Seals. It has not been closer than a 3-goal game at any point.
And I will say credit to the Seals for bouncing back from those run stoppers, because oftentimes when the wind comes out of the sails, we'll pause that thought.
Upon review, San Diego number 19, 5-minute major, high sticking.
Wow, so they uphold it, which is both surprising to Patrick Merrill and Pretty much the worst case scenario, trying to make a comeback.
About as worst case scenario as you can be. And again, talking about the style of play from Cam Holding, not intentional by any means, as he shows a little, maybe using the body language to accuse somebody of a flop.
And of course, that's a subject that athletes always take very kindly to. They love flopping. Zach Mann's up top, poked away by Graydon Bradley. And in the crease, San Diego's going to have it. They're going to have to still put their foot on the gas and blow through those yellow lights on the short man now.
Look for Kyle Jackson and Trey LeClaire, two of the quicker, shiftier, powerful guys here. Because when you're playing in a 4 versus 5, sometimes you just got to do the best that you can.
Courier drifting backwards, works it over to LeClaire. And LeClaire gets one on as Kazik makes the save.
Sneaky good shot from LeClaire right there. And I talk about the power of LeClaire because even when he has a defender draped all over him, he can still get a shot in the mid-80s out just by flicking his wrist.
And LeClaire is built like a horse. Big, strong, athletic kid. His 4th season in the league, really has grown into himself nicely. Shanks far side, saved by O'Riglieri. Keenan goes to get it. Under 2 minutes left in the third. Rush on a 5-minute power play after the major high sticking upheld against Cam Holding. Mans playing catch with Church. They circle up to Mans as he hums it well outside. And that one's going to kick off the boards. No reset of the shot clock. Down low to Keenan. Excellent distributor. Church, his is wide, high, and way out of play.
And conversely, if San Diego can hold the Rush scoreless, talk about a momentum builder for them. The offense already owes a little bit to the defense here in this game with the short scoreless first half. So expect the offense to say, hey guys, we got you. You've stepped up for us. Now it's time for us to step up for you.
Well, San Diego did lead the league in shorthanded goals in 2022 and 2023. Finished middle of the pack last year as Benesh hits one right off the coconut of Kazik. Shot clock turns over. That's good. It both takes time off the power play if you're a Seals fan and gives the offense a second crack at the apple. Rob Hellier with 1 in this third quarter. San Diego scoreless for the first 31 minutes and change. And a penalty away from the ball. San Diego is going to have an opportunity to take this to even strength and play 4-on-4 as Messenger, arguably one of their best penalty killers as well, is sent off.
Boy, both teams just can't get out of their own way when they're on the power unit. Ref's calling it tight.
Saskatchewan number 8, major penalty under auto review.
I can't remember the last time I saw 2 major penalties in the same game, let alone within 3 minutes of each other. Probably never.
See, I would be shocked if it is. Somebody who loves statistics on Twitter, help us out here. And as we go back and just think about the implication, you said it, Messenger is a staple and a pillar of their short-handed unit, kind of just like Cam Holding is a staple. So both offenses with great opportunities here. And I will say the new look second half energized Seals. Excited to see what they can do with a little bit more space in the 4-on-4. And as we go back to the penalty on Messenger here,
it's going to be the opposite side of the floor.
Opposite side. That was kind of after it was called. You see the ref's hands in the air in the back.
The question is Messenger hitting Rob Hellier. Hellier did lose his helmet. You know, as far as optics are concerned, a helmet ended up on the floor usually helps the penalized player's case in something like that being upheld. A wild swing nonetheless after the Seals scored 5-7 to open the half. Rush benefit from a 5-minute major against Cam Holding. It's on that far side. And
oh yeah,
Messenger gets him right up on the head.
Oh yeah, I'd be surprised if that doesn't hold up.
Well, you have to think after upholding the holding penalty, which at least visually was not nearly as vicious.
And that's Cam Holding, not
correct.
You know, the actual penalty holding.
It was a high sticking penalty against Cam Holding.
Correct. Semantics.
after review, Saskatchewan number 8, 5 minutes, roughing.
What a weird second half it's been. And I'll tell you one thing, with the pace of play that has happened in the second half, this 4-on-4 is going to be fun as we get another look at it. And yeah, that's going to be a penalty every time. And here we go, 4-on-4.
Does this 4-on-4 benefit either side?
Seals with the momentum and how they played in the second half, but could go either way.
Well, they turn it over immediately in the rush. They're going to have a chance to run as Matt Hossack motoring up the floor, throws it into no man's land, but is not harmed in the process.
And I'll say, that was just a lazy pass, flat-footed, even as a youth lacrosse coach myself. Do not throw passes off of your back foot, flat-footed. Rarely does it work in your favor.
Shot clock is off, under 10 seconds left in the third. Shanks chased around by Courier. Shanks gets underneath in a Wrigley area to save. 3 seconds to go, and the Seals aren't going to really get anything out of it. Instead, we'll head to the fourth quarter with a 4-on-4 for the next minute and 51 seconds. San Diego with some life, but Saskatchewan keeping their distance here on the road. Rush up 9-5 after 3 quarters. Something about this building and comebacks. You're going to want to see how this one plays out when we start the fourth quarter. Love is in the air. It's a Valentine's Day doubleheader as the Buffalo Bandits head to Toronto in a rematch with the Rockets 7 Eastern. Then at 9:30, it's a battle of the prairies as the Saskatchewan Rush have a date with the Calgary Roughnecks. There will be no love lost in these rivalry matchups. Don't miss a special edition of NLL Friday Night on TSN. 9-5, Saskatchewan leads San Diego entering the fourth. Some scores from around the league. Vancouver and Halifax last night. The T-Birds with a win over the Warriors 10-9. Calgary beat Ottawa 11-8. Earlier tonight, Buffalo beat the wheels off of Albany 16-10. Rochester held on to beat Philadelphia with a statement win, biggest win of the season so far for the Nighthawks. Toronto and Colorado in overtime tied at 8. And Georgia up 4 goals with 3.5 left on Las Vegas. San Diego 5 of the 7 goals since halftime after throwing a donut on the scoreboard in the opening 30 minutes. Zach Courier getting chased around by Adam Jay. Spins it to DeChico. His shot wide as the shot clock runs out. 4-on-4 lacrosse for another minute and 16 seconds. Offsetting 5-minute major penalties. First it was Cam Holding called for high sticking, then Mike Messenger for roughing.
I haven't seen that in my years.
Rush have been quiet offensively since halftime, but have had a couple of big goals from that guy, Zach Bands, when they've needed them. Far side, Triolo turned away, denied what would have been his fourth, as with that long reach, he wins a second possession for the Rush.
Boy, great crafty play. I was curious how that double team from San Diego was going to turn out. Triolo just with a flick of the wrist sends it back to his teammates. Sneaky, crafty plays like that have a huge impact.
Anderson using his quickness. Now it's Church. Just one for Church tonight. He gets free. Add another one. Robert Church goes streaking through the defense as San Diego falls apart at the wrong time.
And this is exactly what you want to do if you're in a 4-on-4 offense, understanding that there's more space. There's not a fifth defender to jam things up, and credit to Church. He recognized that he had Gamble beat and had a good shot, but continues to go downhill, and then finally just a one-on-none. So not taking the shot and continuing to just get closer and closer as here comes the challenge flag from Patrick Merrill. We'll see if San Diego can get their second call of the night.
They had a goal by Austin Shanks wiped away in the first half. We'll now take a look at the Robert Church marker to see if that one will stand up.
San Diego's challenging the goal call on the field, plays under review.
So we'll go back and take a look at this, but again, credit to Church. And for San Diego, as you said, at kind of the wrong time to fall apart. That wasn't a particularly crafty two-man play, just kind of some standard action. But with no backside help and not a third defender.
That's as clean as it gets.
Yeah, there's definitely some green in between those crisp white shoes. Maybe he just threw the challenge flag in lieu of a timeout. Not quite sure.
Maybe an optimistic throw of the flag.
Well, maybe he saw that angle and it kind of looked from the backside like maybe there was a chance, but all that to say, you were kind of asking, hey, which side does the 4-on-4 benefit? And we've talked about it a little bit, but let's hammer home the point. The Rush have done a fantastic job to not let San Diego storming out of the gates in the first couple minutes of the third quarter take the wind out of their sails. They say we are not done yet.
Now this would be just the third goal since halftime for the Rush, but they've all come at really principally important moments. For San Diego, they scored 3 in a row. Zach Mans quickly stopped that, then back-to-back San Diego goals. Ryan Keenan gets one back, and now Robert Church adding one to widen it back to a 5-goal game. And that's a pretty significant deficit with 13:37 left in regulation.
Upon review, the call on the floor is confirmed. We have a good goal. San Diego loses their second half challenge and timeout.
Well, Jimmy Quinlan gets exactly what he would hope as the goal is upheld. Church has his 2nd and 11th of the season. 7 goals in his last 2 games after 5 of them last week against Albany. And once again, San Diego looking to 5-goal deficit. Logan facing off with Messenger in the box as he wins that one cleanly. Logan straight to the basket, and Logan gets it on. Kazik makes the save. Just 10 out of 15 since starting 20 for 20. And Curry. Oh, man.
God, he's just a wizard with the stick. I love watching him play because you never know what he's going to do. Great in transition, great loose ball. He stung a corner. He's just a do-it-all player.
Now, holding is out of the box. Still 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Now a 5-on-4 for the Seals. They're entitled to 2 goals before it's released, as it is a 5-minute major. Hellier spins it. Benesh. Kick save by Kazik. Fortuitous rebound for Matt Hasek as he wins the loose ball and then gets clobbered by Wesley Berg as Jackson there to retrieve it. He goes down. Now we have a penalty, and this might be a 5-on-3. There's an illegal substitution.
Boy, and if you're looking to mount a comeback,
it'll go against San Diego.
Goodness,
San Diego bench minor illegal substitution.
They've taken 8 penalties tonight. San Diego has been sloppy.
Says, hey, you're going to give us a man-up opportunity? No, thanks. We'll just make it 4-on-4. Similarly to how their goals have come in key moments in a positive way, their penalties have just could not be timed up worse.
Robbie Turpin, the in-home, will serve the illegal substitution penalty.
And what was the premier opportunity to mount the comeback with Messenger locked in the box now becomes anyone's game on who's going to capitalize.
San Diego has really not done themselves any favors in trying to mount this comeback. Trailed by as many as 7, now down by 5. Keenan hums it wide of the net. And they're going to get San Diego on a loose ball, so it stays with the Rush and gives them a fresh 30. I think it's safe to say that whatever momentum San Diego had built in the third quarter has summarily vanished in the fourth.
Now, and even looking at how effective the Rush's off-ball movement is, their players all open on the floor when they set those off-ball picks.
Well, Rush has had a really long runway in the second half as Keenan twists it outside. Deacon battling for it. LeClaire comes to help him. It's a 3-on-1 loose ball. Dobrecht lost his bucket, and now Bradley's going to have it as San Diego can clear.
That's almost a fair fight at 3-on-1, but the one is Triolo.
And how about Courier for the second time? There's that yellow light mentality in those bright yellow uniforms.
the versatility of Zach Currier just on full display tonight in particular. He is the one coming off the bench and recognizing that, hey, a 4-on-4, you know what, I'll take a 2-on-2, get right to the middle of the floor and have the entire net to shoot on. Sneaks it right in between the foot and stick of Kazik. And Danny Logan wins the faceoff and is not afraid to press it. Watch out.
So the Messenger penalty not released. Still a minute on that one. Also a minute on the Robbie Turpin served illegal substitution. And we keep playing 4-on-4. Next Seal goal would release Messenger. Now Hellier. Elbow save by Kazik that time. DeChico has the loose ball.
Great adjustment by Kazik. He was down low.
Currier, blocked shot by Hossack that time. Asking Currier to do everything tonight. Playing both ways and hardly getting a break. The rookie DeChico. First round pick out of Ohio State. His shot soaked up by Boudreau. And Saskatchewan gets a stop that they very much needed.
A good job getting in the shooting lane. Seems like every time the Seals tried to get a shot off, there was a big white pillar in front of that ball.
4-goal game, as close as it's been since late in the third quarter. Here comes Messenger out, as does Turpin. We're back to 5-on-5.
Good job by Saskatchewan getting back in, all 5 defenders in the first 7 seconds of the shot clock. Impressive.
McIntosh, late man off the bench. Here he is, circling around. McIntosh up high. Kazik bobbles the save, denying the hat trick to the former Rush star, Ben McIntosh.
Tell you what, McIntosh is feeling it. Kazik got just enough of that one, but
Chico ran into a screen as Messenger works his way down low, and Logan bounces right off of him. Messenger now draws a penalty on Gobrecht. Keenan throws a wild shot. And stop me if you've heard this before, power play coming up for the Rush.
and I knew Mike Messenger coming off the sitting in a penalty for 5 minutes, you knew he regained every ounce of energy that he's exerted over the course of the game. Almost inevitable for him to draw a penalty or do something.
Diego 25, major penalty under review.
Another major penalty. You know, I didn't get a memo from the league this week, but this feels like a point of emphasis almost.
Well, in this one, you know, we'll see on the replay, may or may not be justified, but, you know, you see a guy like Messenger who is just barreling his way through the defense, and that hit up top, I wouldn't be surprised if that's upheld. Every major penalty has been up to the noggin of the ball carrier. But that's kind of, we've talked about it with Wes Berg drawing a penalty when he decides to get his momentum, and now we see Messenger getting the major. When you put your shoulder down and just start willing your way through the defense, good things happen. He is a threat to score. He's been an impact on the face-off game. Mike Messenger is almost the counterpart to Zach Currier, wearing white and green. And when you have a guy with that stature, you know that a little cross-check to the hip isn't really going to get him off of his game. So you have to go in with everything, and if that stick slides up high, it's going to be a big impact. Fellow bald brother Mike Messenger.
Is that like a club you guys are in?
Yeah, we meet on Tuesdays at the barber shop. He should be meeting us on Tuesdays. Sorry.
Wait to see if the major penalty against Eli Gobrecht will be upheld.
My gut tells me yes.
I'd be very surprised if it's not upheld, based on the precedent we've seen tonight.
And I was threatening it earlier, but we don't get a call soon, we might have to talk politics, talk tariffs, you know,
Nope.
something like that. Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay, fair enough. Everyone's just so understanding these days.
Upon review, San Diego number 25, major penalty, high sticking.
So it is upheld. I don't think Patrick Merrill will be expensing dinner for the officiating crew tonight.
I don't think so at all.
So a 5-minute major, the third of this second half, will give Saskatchewan an extended power play with under 10 minutes left in regulation. Keenan saved by Origlieri. He's going to have to be near flawless the rest of the way for the Seals to have a serious chance at this thing.
Great job right there, getting that extra possession. That was kind of missing in the third quarter from Saskatchewan, but they are back in full force.
Ryan Keenan running the point. Zach Mans with his 2 goals. They've won 11 in a row when he scored twice or more. He steps in, feeds it to the far side. Church creeping in, stolen by Courier. He's trying to will the Seals back into this game. Courier forcing the issue, slamming on the brakes, and Kaiser making the save.
Again, I seemingly say it every game. If you're a youth lacrosse player watching, watch number 77 in yellow. I mean, just the way that he can impact a game no matter where he is on the floor is a coach's dream. And he went to Princeton, smart kid to boot.
Keenan gets one on Origlieri, back-to-back saves. Matt Wright's going to force the issue as the Seals need to be playing quickly. They do not have time to waste even down a man as Leclerc comes on. Under 8.5 left.
That's who I want the ball in the stick of if I'm trying to score a shorthanded goal.
And Benesh's bouncer goes wide, kicks all the way back, and it's an over and back to give Saskatchewan possession. 8:15 left in regulation. The Rush on an extended power play, trying to finish this thing out on the road. A Rush on the power play. Zach Mans playing catch up top with Robert Church. Triolo adds his 4th of the night in what might be a dagger goal with 7:50 left.
Boy, and we've seen a number of different releases. We'll go back to the size discussion with Triolo because when he has an overhand release, oh my goodness, beautiful twister. And when that release point is so high and you add the twister on top of it, who knows where the heck that's going? Nobody, let alone Origlieri, and that might be, as you mentioned, the nail in the coffin. And what a game for Mike Triolo.
Matching his season high and career high with 4 goals tonight. As Triolo on his way to a career season now with 11 goals this season. Scored a career high 18 and had 37 points a year ago.
Just some lighthearted discussion. How's the wife? How's the kids? You guys doing good? Danny, how's the wedding planning going? Let me know if that's going to be in September. I asked him if he had his groomsmen set. He said yes, and I said that's weird. I didn't get a piece in the mail.
You're everyone's best friend until they get married. Rush back up by 5. Still got 2:43 left on the power play with Eli Goldbrecht taking the 5-minute major. 1 goal already scored during the power play. A second would release it. And Origlieri decides to prolong things a little bit longer and keep the Seals in it. Well, after a scoreless first half, the Seals do deserve quite a bit of credit for a much better effort in the second half, but Saskatchewan simply has had every run stopper they could ask for. Hellier buries one up high.
I was just going to make the comment about how I think San Diego needs to grease one so that the comeback is still within reach. Right on cue, Hellier coming down, and with a low angle, just the picture-perfect placement. You kind of see Kaisick wonder if that was even on cage. This will be a great look right here. Just as good a placement as you can get. Rob Hellier putting the team on his back. And I think that goal is as crucial as any San Diego has scored tonight. Because when this power play is done, they're going to have 4 minutes and change. Goal a minute is reasonable. Huge.
Shorthanded goal for Rob Hellier, his first shorty of the year. Third shorty for the Seals this year. Still 650. We might have been a little bit premature to bury San Diego after Triolo's fourth tally of the night, but still a lot of work to do, and still 1 minute and 55 seconds on the Rush power play. Church creeping in, and Origlieri makes his third save in the power play.
Crucial for San Diego to close out this power play, not allowing another goal. If they get even on the major penalty, 1-1, that is a win in their book.
Well, Ben McIntosh will handle for the Seals. Half the shot clock still to use. McIntosh drifting. He sees Jackson coming off the bench late. Still 5-on-4 as the Seals play shorthanded. Rush trying to hang on after building a 7-goal first half lead. Benesh creeps around, has his shot blocked, and the shot clock runs out as Jackson throws it in the net, but it doesn't count.
Counts for something to the fans. Don't discount the entertainment value of just throwing a ball in the net.
The Rush hanging on the road, but San Diego not ready to call it quits yet. Oh, still 5:58 left to play as the Rush built a 7-0 first half lead. San Diego has outscored them 7-4 since halftime, but an onslaught of man-down situations have really limited San Diego's ability to get back into things. And guys like that, Ryan Keenan, scoring timely goals for the Rush. You have to give Saskatchewan all the credit in the world. They built their big advantage. They took advantage of San Diego's slow start. And then when the pressure's been on, they've had those big moments that they've needed.
Just staying out of true comeback territory. And again, this next minute is going to be crucial for the outcome of the game. That's a good start for San Diego. They've done such a better job of getting in those passing lanes when they're playing 4-on-5.
The Chico trail check by Ryan Keenan takes it away and disallows San Diego an opportunity on that end of the floor. The Rush once again getting a key play. Shanks back up to Church. Mans, he's got a pair, as does Church. Triolo's been the big man. 4 of them as he's turned away by Origlieri. San Diego has to force the issue. 20 seconds left on the Saskatchewan 5-minute power play after Eli Goldbrecht sat down for a major, the third major penalty of the second half. 2 of them against San Diego, once against Saskatchewan. Now Hellier, he has 2. Off to Leclerc in his return. Runs into trouble and cannot escape it as 3 Rush players turn him away. He's able to swat one on net, but Kaisick handles it with ease.
Great little flick of the wrist by Trey Leclerc, but good job by the Rush power kill unit, if that makes sense, of not letting Trey Leclerc get his hands or his eyes.
Rush now have the clock as their best friend. Just under 4.5 left. Clark Walter flips it back to Mans, to a streaking Shanks. Origlieri, maybe his biggest save of the night. He's got Deacon streaking down the floor. 2-on-1. Courier to his right. Courier! Kaisick, his best save.
Huge save by Kaisick right there as Courier was diving and soaring through the air. Kind of comes back, but watch out. Here comes San Diego again.
Wright and Leclerc. They cannot connect, and that's one Wright needs to take. Leclerc hasn't scored a goal in 5 years. Now 3:52 left. The kid, Thomas Kaisick, wowing the folks in San Diego as he keeps his Rush team out in front by 4. Let's take a look at the assist of the game brought to you by Eero. Rush up 11-7, and this is a big one as part of their run-stopping effort. Ryan Keenan, a little twirly-do over to Austin Shanks as Saskatchewan has had big goal after big goal when San Diego has begun to make life a little bit spooky for the Rush. If Saskatchewan hangs on to this game, Nick, and wins on the road, overcoming a Seals comeback effort, how big of a statement does that make about their legitimacy as what would be a 6-2 team at the 8-game mark?
You know, especially with the way that they came firing out of the gates in the first half and have put a little bit of water on the comeback fire of the Seals. I think it's a huge statement, especially as a lot of us NLL fans are kind of looking around, scratching our heads going, who could compete with the Buffalo Bandits, the clear number one, who had such a dominant effort they let Connor Farrell take a penalty shot tonight, which can't wait to go back and watch that. But you look at the Rush's first half, that can contend with Buffalo. That is better than any other team has shown for one half of lacrosse this season. So I think, should they continue and come away with the victory, hey guys, we are the best team in the league. Look at how we handled the Seals at Pechanga Arena in the first half. But we'll see how these last 3 minutes and 42 seconds play out.
Mann spins it wide. San Diego not able to retrieve it as Church, the long rebound. Playing 5-on-5, San Diego has to be aggressive defensively. They need possessions. Triolo up high. A rare misfire from the big man as he has 4 of them tonight. Wesley Berg, who has gone scoreless tonight, is stripped, and San Diego's got an empty net. Boudreau missed it. Barnable able to collect it. A discombobulated sequence after a rare Wesley Berg turnover. Now Cameron Holding shot out of a cannon, and his shot might have been deflected, or at least his stick may have been disrupted. With 3 minutes exactly remaining, just bizarre sequence here in San Diego.
Yeah, gotta say, great job to the conditioning coach of Sask. Not easy to chase Cameron Holding down, let alone late in the fourth quarter, but enough to just quell that shot.
Under 3 minutes left, Rush up by 4. They have to feel good right now. And that should do it. Levi Anderson with his second, and that is all she wrote.
A lot of things have to go right as you mount the comeback. San Diego's defense putting a huge premium on outside pressure, but what that does is leave the middle of the floor open. Anderson recognizes it and just streaks right down the middle. And not just the athleticism, but the stick handling to catch that ball with Bradley all over it. That was their second or third good look, taking advantage of the Seals defense desperation. And I'll say, great game by Levi Anderson, not just with that jab step to the middle of the floor goal in the first half, but with what I am now comfortable with saying, the nail in the coffin. And even though the game is all but decided, these two teams do not like each other, so we might see some fireworks here with just under 2:30 left to play.
If you're San Diego, would you encourage a little bit of fireworks to try and show some serious fight moving forward, to set a little bit of a tone in the next week?
There was a timeout prior to the penalty call.
The Saskatchewan with a timeout.
I would say yes. You know, we've seen a little chippiness. Eli Gobrecht and Zach Mann trying to maybe think about squaring up. Mike Messenger certainly not scared of a scrap. There's some potential heavyweight tilts, but you shut us out in the first half, you're at least going to pay for it should you close the door on us in the fourth quarter. And we might end up on Joe Rogan, who knows?
I'll pass on that one.
Because he's bald.
That's the exclusive reason. So Saskatchewan up by 5, 2.5 minutes away from going to 6-2 this season. They've exceeded all expectations so far this year. You see where they are right now. An opportunity to keep climbing. Colorado and Toronto had a wild one earlier tonight. Top 8 teams in the playoffs. San Diego is to the outside looking in and frankly trending in the wrong direction. There is so many questions to answer if you're San Diego going forward. And they just don't have the opportunity to waste any more time, especially with how road heavy the back end of their schedule is. 4 of their last 5 games are on the road. So they'll be back in action next week at Toronto and then at Buffalo 2 weeks from now. I mean, if you're the Seals, feels like 1, 2, 3 panic might be at the top of the playlist.
That's another thing I love about Zach Currier. He never cares what the score is, never care if the game's over. He's going to go out there and give it his all. And I will say, even though it's been a bit of an interesting year where seemingly every game is decided by 2 or 3 goals at most, things are starting, what used to be muddy, things are starting to become a little bit clearer.
Well, that's what February is about. We usually get some clarity in this league right around this time, and then as soon as the playoffs start, everything gets turned upside down again.
The head scratcher for me is Toronto getting, blown out a couple times early in the year, but the talent they have on their roster. They played Buffalo the closest with a 2-goal game.
And they won in overtime tonight against Colorado. That had the feel of a must-win game for the Rock, even though they've been playing so well. Only other game still going right now, Georgia and Las Vegas swarm up 15-13 with just under 3 minutes left. As this is just a matter of what the final score will be. Saskatchewan is going to make their 7-goal lead at halftime, last to the finish. Credit to San Diego for showing some fight in the second half, but ultimately just unraveled by penalties. Now Trey Leclerc gets one in his return. Too little, too late for San Diego.
Sometimes it's the little things. Trey Leclerc, welcome back to the lineup. And that's just, that's something that he has the ability to consistently do all the time. Great patience. That being said, I think the Rush defense is kind of playing a little bit more tentative. Hey, we'll welcome some of those outside shots. And knowing head coach Patrick Merrill, he's saying, hey, I don't care if there's 50 seconds left and we need to score 4. Let's set the tone going into the next game. So there will be no quit in this Seals team. But I'll say, when you don't score a goal in the first half, while a valiant effort, as the goal call is confirmed, while a valiant effort for the second half, Seals just too slow of a start.
Boy, this was going on. The craziest trade in NBA history just happened.
What's that?
Lakers got Luka Doncic and sent Anthony Davis to the Mavericks in a 3-team deal with the Jazz.
Really?
Yeah.
Breaking news. How about it? And we see Trey Leclerc get a little feisty. Hey, if you're going to get a penalty, why not go get it, young buck?
Well, the Rush are happy to just let the shot clock run out, and then they can hold the ball for the last 12 seconds or so after the penalty is assessed. Leclerc is looking to scrap with Connor McClellan. McClellan has no interest in that whatsoever.
Both referees getting ready to stop Trey Leclerc from dropping the gloves. Trey Leclerc having a couple words saying, hey, you're not man enough to fight me. But conversely on the, hey, go scrap it up and get some momentum for San Diego, I wouldn't be surprised if Sask is just saying, hey, nothing stupid here.
San Diego number 33, minor penalty slashing.
Well, 11 seconds separating us from the close of this one.
Where'd you learn Spanish, by the way?
I've spent not an insignificant amount of time in South America.
Ah, see.
That was maybe the highlight of the show.
A humble brag about being in South America.
Now Saskatchewan comes on the road to San Diego. They'll be just the 6th team in the last 3 years to beat the Seals at Pechanga Arena. 12-8 is your final. The Rush go up 7-0 at halftime in San Diego despite a furious comeback rally attempt. Not nearly enough to get over the hump on Jimmy Quinlan's team. Now the Seals 3-5, searching for answers after Thomas Kazik silenced them for more than 30 minutes. And we talked about it being gut check time at halftime. Feels like it really is gut check time on the season now for the San Diego Seals.
It is, and the talent that they have, there's no excuse to not make a good push. I've said the word identity probably too many times tonight. I'll slap myself on the wrist for that. But it really just seemed like coming into the opening faceoff, there was no true game plan on offense. And you can talk about selflessness, you can talk about offense by committee, you can kind of use a lot of the coach speak to say, hey, we haven't really established what we're doing, but it's on the San Diego offense to find a player to step up. And the flashes of brilliance they had in the comeback, I think there is a chance for the Seals to make a good run in the next couple games, but only if they come out of the gates knowing what they want to accomplish every time the ball's in their sticks.
Well, it doesn't get any easier for San Diego. They get Toronto on the road and then Buffalo 2 times in a row before coming home to play Vancouver. The next 5 games for San Diego is a murderer's row, and they'll have to figure it out almost overnight. Well, he was the star of the evening in many ways. He stopped the first 20 shots that he faced. Thomas Kazik, for the 2nd straight week, makes a hero of himself and introduces himself to Rush Nation. Kazik is down on the floor with our very own Haley Elwood.
All right, thanks so much, Cooper. Thomas, when we spoke this week, you told me you were ready for anything after last week's game. 2nd win in as many starts. How does this one feel?
Feels really good. The rent was due today, and the boys all digged in and paid it off. We'll be back in 2 weeks to pay it off again.
Got a little tight in the second half, but how were you able to keep your composure?
Again, same thing as last week. Took a deep breath, had to settle in, had good support with my team and coaches, and yeah, just took a deep breath and had to reset.
Coach was telling us you're John with your guys out here?
Yeah, always have a little jokes for everyone, but yeah, it's all fun. It's all fun in games.
Lastly, where does that confidence come from?
I think my teammates help instill it in me. I feel like I put in the work, but obviously those guys help back me up, and happy to play in front of a great team.
Congrats, Thomas. Thank you.
So once again, the final score, Saskatchewan beats the Seals 12-8. The Rush are 6-2. The Seals are 3-5. That just about does it for us. For the show produced by Jer Bates, directed by Zach Blaine. This has been a National Lacrosse League production in association with DMT. Coordinating producer for the NLL, Scott Zillatoro. Manager of broadcast, Mike Pettit. Senior Vice President of NLL Broadcast Operations is Ed Durst. The executive producer of the NLL is Joel Feld. For Haley Elwood, Nick Ocello, and the rest of our crew, I'm Cooper Perkins saying good night from San Diego.